Hey everybody, welcome back. HSC Podcast 45. Got Big Box Steve on the mic, the Big Smooth, Derek, and Fresh Wes. Uh Wes, your camera always looks like you're in fog.
No, it's worse than you.
Yeah, it's just dirty.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, I just smudged it.
So going into week 16 here of NFL season. So we talk about today. If you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and like. Make sure you leave comments. And if you're listening on Spotify, Anchor, or Apple Podcasts, thanks for listening. New content every week. So before we jump into week 15 review and week 16, did you guys see the Pro Bowl rosters came out?
Yeah, I was talking to Wes about that yesterday. Yeah,
I mean, first of all, what's the deal with the Pro Bowl this year? I mean, what do you guys think about the Pro Bowl this year?
I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, no one goes to it anymore, so they got to do something. So I guess just
Well,
instead of just doing just a list, they're just gonna have a flag football game. So
I mean, what is it like Survivor now? Is that what they're doing? I mean, I heard they're like doing like different competitions. Like,
yeah,
you know, you
they're
do some.
trying
Are
to
they
do
gonna do
like
some
an NBA
axe?
Saturday, and
Do some axe
Yeah,
throwing?
yeah.
but remember, don't you remember when they used to do that though? When
Yeah.
they
Well,
would
that was
like, was that like in the off season or something, and you would see them like do like competitions?
yeah. It was like the star something stars.
Yeah,
I mean, we were really young when they started.
I don't mind the skills competitions. I like the skills
yeah.
competitions, especially if they expand it to all positions, everybody's doing different skills for their position and you do get to see, who's better at certain skills. I like those. I don't necessarily need to see them out there like who can, axe throw or who can catch the biggest fish or whatever they're going to
I just
do.
I just want to see Tyreek Hill and them do tag. Okay, how many guys does it take to tag Tyreek Hill? You know,
Right.
yeah,
It's but the flag football thing, I guess if you think about it, nobody's gonna get hurt, hopefully. I mean you can still, blow out a ACL or it's still
Yeah,
you're still
but you
doing
can
the
do that
same things.
anytime. So
Yeah, exactly. So and so I kind of go back and forth with that. I guess we'll see how it goes. I'm not it's kind of like, the NBA, at least they're still playing basketball, you know, where now the football is just like it's not really even football anymore.
right, but with the NBA, they have all fully guaranteed contracts.
Right.
So if they get hurt, no big deal. In football, there's so many partial, you know what I mean, partial guarantees or this, or we can cut you for this dead cap money. And so then it's like you like a Lamar Jackson. Is he going to really want to play in the Pro Bowl if he doesn't have a new long-term contract?
Right.
So it's about money.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see. I like how they brought in some flag football coaches or players or
Mhm.
people that have experience in flag football or um, that to help them out. I think that's cool. So maybe it'll be a little more exciting when you have people that are involved in flag football.
Yeah.
Kind of show them how to play. So I think it's interesting. We'll see what happens. Um, I do miss the old days of the Pro Bowl where they really played. I mean, the Pro Bowl wasn't ever like a hardcore game, but when we were kids, they played the Pro Bowl like it was a game.
Come on, Wes. You know who we want to talk about.
it was like AFC. It was like AFC, NFC. Like they actually cared. Like
Yeah,
they
Or like,
like
what
people.
about Jack Youngblood breaking his leg in the Super Bowl and then still playing in the Pro Bowl the next week?
Yeah,
that's
that was pretty
intense, dude.
hardcore. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but back, I guess we're super young, but even in the '90s, like it was fun to watch,
Yeah. They
and
cared. They
then
wanted to do it.
right, right. So there were some good players to watch back then, and they cared about the game, and it was a fun game to watch because you don't ever get to see all of them together like that
Right.
playing, as those those super teams. And so
The last thing I
fun to
remember
watch.
about the Pro Bowl is when Sean Taylor was lighting people up in the Pro Bowl. Like
Right.
everyone's like playing half speed. He's like they're like going full speed. That was kind of cool.
Well, I mean, he's a competitor.
Yeah,
What do you?
it's like whatever. You're gonna play half speed. I'm just gonna light you up.
I want to know, Steve. What about who's the snubs of the Pro Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, kind of take a look at the roster. You know, I guess this one thing stands out to me also. You do see, in my opinion, how much better the AFC is than the NFC when you look at the Pro Bowl rosters, right? So let's talk about Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and then who does the NFC got coming in? Hurts, Geno Smith, and Kirk Cousins. Right
What?
now, if you're making that comparison of quarterbacks, I mean, just the quarterbacks alone, you're like Jalen Hurts, Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins, or Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Joe
Joe
Burrow.
Burrow.
What would you rather have?
Right.
So that was one thing that stuck out first, and then just across the board, I think all the position players, because then the NFC's got Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard, and Miles Sanders, right? I think Saquon has had a great year, and to me he's a pretty good overall back. But then you compare the AFC's got Nick Chubb, Josh Jacobs, and Derrick Henry.
Right.
I don't think there's a comparison there as far as who's got the better running backs.
Yeah.
I mean, how does
Isn't
Tony Pollard and Miles Sanders get in? I mean,
yeah. Christian McCaffrey. Hello.
you're right. So that stuck out quite a bit. And also now you go to the receiver. Tyreek Hill, Diggs, Devontae Adams, and Jamar Chase on the AFC versus the NFC's got Justin Jefferson. I mean, obviously, one of the best there. AJ Brown's had a really good year, but then CeeDee Lamb, Terry McLaurin, So rounding out their four, like Justin Jefferson to me is the only one that competes with those four wide receivers from the AFC.
Yeah.
And that's where my big snub is my affinity for the Lions. Amon St. Brown should have been made the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, I think if he wasn't hurt, he probably would have.
I still think he has better numbers than McLaurin.
Right.
I'd have to check, but
McLaurin's had a good year. I mean, a decent year. It's not like he's
no, I mean, no, he's
Justin
been
Jefferson,
decent.
McLaurin's ninth in total yards. St. Brown is 10th.
Oh,
I mean,
but St. Brown's missed.
Yeah, he missed what, 2 or 3 games?
Yeah, 2 or 3 games.
But St. Brown's got 6 touchdowns and McLaurin's got 3. I mean,
right.
So
yeah, how do you make the Pro Bowl with 3 touchdowns?
Yeah.
Well, I would have thought it maybe was like baseball where they want to get everyone in one, but they didn't give the Bears or the Jaguars a Pro Bowler. They're the only 2 teams that don't have one.
Yeah. I thought they had that rule at one time, didn't they? Did they have a rule like that?
I just know baseball's had it. Because I think it's just there's only I don't know if there's enough. It'd be hard, I think, to do it for football.
Yeah. I mean, who would you send off the Bears anyways? Doesn't matter.
Justin Fields or Eddie Jackson, right?
I mean, I'd rather have Justin Fields than Kirk Cousins if I'm on the NFC Pro Bowl.
Well, here's the other one. Jared Goff.
Right. He's had a very good year.
I know it's more of his numbers, and we can tell that he's not as good, but Pro Bowl is not about who you would take number 1 overall or whatever. It's like what numbers you're putting up, and he's putting up huge numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's 8th in total yardage. He's got 23 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. It's a decent year.
Yeah, I would say you would think Christian McCaffrey would have been up there.
Yeah.
On the AFC side, I think the AFC, they pretty much got the best at the positions. I don't see at least on the offensive skill positions. Right. I don't see anybody else that really could.
Yeah.
I didn't dig into the defense too much, just because I was comparing the offense, and it's just crazy how much better the AFC to me offense is, top to bottom. So maybe that tells you something for the Super Bowl, right? It might be an AFC Super Bowl this year.
Well, we usually say team with the best quarterback, right?
Right. So that'd be fun to watch. So that's Pro Bowl. Let's talk a little bit about Week 15, though. Looks like I led the way at 13-3. Derek, you were, what were you, 11-5? You said.
Yep.
And Wes was 10-6.
I think so.
So Week 15, I don't think there was a lot of surprises. There were a couple swing games that I won where I went opposite, like Cleveland, Baltimore. Baltimore are just, without Lamar Jackson, it's just not a good team. I don't think they're great.
No, they didn't even score a touchdown.
Right, 3 points.
Like, wow, that's a playoff team right there.
Philly didn't look overly impressive against Chicago.
Yeah.
Well, it's because you hurt their quarterback, which you're trying to screw me out of my fantasy football championship.
Yeah,
Hurts still threw for 315.
Yeah, but he's out now.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is it's nice. You want to run when you can run, but he just shows you run too much and jeopardize the season.
Yeah, you're gonna get hurt eventually, right? Speaking of running quarterbacks, Fields runs for another 100 yard, 95 yards, like almost another 100-yard games. This guy's incredible when it comes to running the ball.
I just can't believe that touchdown.
Did you? Well, they didn't call the touchdowns. He stepped out on the 9, but that was one of the best runs I've ever seen from anybody, let alone a quarterback.
That was crazy.
Yeah, that was fun. That was crazy to watch. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens with him down the road. But if he could get a feel for passing, put up a couple, 200, 250 a game and still continue to run like that, he's going to be one of the top quarterbacks out there. Really tough to stop.
Not only that is, you probably need another year or two just kind of build, get him some weapons, get him acclimated to those weapons, and get a system that he runs, but it's strategic. It's not like he runs for his life, because a lot of times he's running for his life, and that's just not gonna last. So they need to be really smart about when to coach him to run and then throw the ball deep, because I still think he throws one of the best deep balls.
He does. He does throw a great deep ball. Their line is young, and they put money into developing their line, so it might be a couple years down the road, but their line will get a lot better if they keep it together. How about the Jacksonville-Dallas game?
That was so funny.
Poor Dallas fans.
Cowboys, right?
I was watching with probably 50 people, and we're just all laughing. I was like, really? But you know what? As you can see tonight, Jacksonville's pretty good. They really got it dialed in, and they might win the AFC South.
I was just looking at that. Like, they're right there with Tennessee, and they play Tennessee the last game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
They control their own destiny. They beat the
They win out, they get in.
Titans, they're in. So,
that's nuts.
What a turnaround!
Like, how does
Tennessee
just depends on it?
Doesn't Trevor Lawrence now doesn't look like a bust? Maybe it's because Urban Meyer is a horrible NFL coach.
Wow, totally. Or, they got the right hire though. Doug Pearson's a really good coach. It shows that he's really good with quarterbacks, and so he's really coached Lawrence up. He, coaching, getting him to feel comfortable, and then Lawrence is just excelling that offense.
They, everybody made fun of their free agency, but I think they did a really good job in free agency.
Well, I
maybe
think
they
they,
overspent a little bit,
yeah.
but still that big three that they have in like the two receivers and Ingram, they've produced a lot this year for them.
Yeah, I don't think they're bad players. I just thought they way overpaid for them.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, you got to go after what's available, right? I mean, like you have the money to spend. They can't just sit on the money, right? They don't have, they need to fill those positions.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
if you're gonna shoot, I mean, if you're aim high, it's like if you think that you can build a team that can get to the playoffs and you're young, adding three, maybe overpaying for a couple free agents, it's worth it when you have a young team, young quarterback.
I would love to see them go to the playoffs, actually.
I think they
Just,
will.
I think it'll do a lot for them, their long term, if they made the playoffs this year. Like, I think they'd come into next season with a lot of uh, momentum, a lot of confidence.
Unless Malik Willis gets extremely better in 2 weeks. Because last time we watched him, it was it was uh it
It
was
was bad.
pretty unwatchable the last time he
Although,
played.
but well, we'll get to it later who the Titans got this week for Derrick Henry to feast on. But
Right, right. um,
I can't believe, Steve, you haven't talked about the former of the formerly known as the Sunday night game and the Sunday night game. You had the Patriots Raiders with the most insane ending
right, yeah.
of all time.
Yeah, that's next. That was next. So I want to save some
Like,
of the best for last, right? So
yeah, it's
the
like Jim Marshall's like, oh, sweet. Someone else did something dumber than I did.
yeah, you're not going to see that. Uh, what's it? What's that show called? The NFL Moments, or
Bloopers.
The bloopers, or
no? Just when they do that show, it's got the voiceover with the guy. They talk about great NFL moments or whatever.
oh, was
I
Steve
don't remember that
Sable.
show's. Yeah, but yeah, I feel like I saw Jim Marshall a lot on that.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Uh,
was, yeah. And Garo Yepremian, always you would see
yeah.
his. This is going to go down as just, and then to top off Chandler Jones's stiff arm that
Oh
like pushed
gosh.
Mac Jones to
It's just like a man-child stiff arm. It wasn't even like a stiff arm. He literally just ran him. He didn't try to go around him at all.
No.
He went straight over the top of him, pushed his head into the ground. It was just like, dude, get out of my way. I'm gonna run over you.
literally an hour after that happened. There were T-shirts available. Like,
Has to be because the problem was you like the Raiders had the 2 touchdown lead at halftime,
yeah,
and
it was like
they've
the
blown
Rams all over again.
yeah, they've blown more leads of. I think they're the only team in history to blow that many 2 touchdown leads at halftime, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
it's four. They broke the record, and like
So
they almost had
they have
five.
5. They almost had 6.
No, so
Mm-hmm.
That's nuts, dude. I mean, this is why the Raiders. It's unbelievable that they're not a playoff team right now, right? Is
Right.
because they are beating teams by multiple touchdowns halfway through the game, still losing those games.
Yep. And I feel
So
like it's not, it's like the players will themselves in the ones that they actually win. It's not because the coaches, it's because the players are like, oh, we got to win these games.
right.
Just like this game at the end, they drive down the field, score that touchdown, and then the defense. Now, who knows? It should have been an overtime game, but oh
Right.
my gosh.
That was so funny. I used to think I think this tops the Miami one for me because I was watching that Miami game when they did
Oh yeah, the miracle.
the miracle, where they throw it and then the guy twists it back twice and runs and then he outruns Gronk and Gronk trips over himself. Like it was great.
Yeah.
But I think this one might top that just because of how just crazy it is. Like, first
It
of all,
was,
where are you even throwing the ball back to? Like,
it's not like
what
Mac
was your
Jones can throw
goal?
it forward.
Right. Like, what was your goal there? That's what I didn't get. So that had to be one of the best. endings I've seen. So that was awesome.
I will say when I watched it, I was just kind of in shock. I didn't even move. I was like, what is going on here? I was like, this can't be happening.
What I said was I saw the ball coming down and I saw, oh man, it's like Chandler Jones. There's only one guy that can stop him. Oh, wait a minute. Never mind.
Right.
He just collapsed. It's like he went into the turf. It's like, it's like he went into the basement of the turf. That's how bad he collapsed. That was just epic.
That was so good. And then Sunday night game, obviously, Giants and Commanders, battling for that playoff spot. I don't know if you saw the percentages of like basically if whoever won that game was going to be like 70 to 80% to go to the playoffs, and whoever lost was going to go down to like 20% or whatever. So it's like the biggest swing game of the year for playoff. And then it comes down to a call at the end of the game, an illegal formation call, which we just talked about, right? We talked about this on the podcast, how they never call it.
Right. And here's because we were talking about this, and my thing is yeah, it was illegal formation. Yeah, it sucks because he asked the ref, and the ref was like, okay, you're good now.
Right.
But then don't swallow your whistle on the pass interference. If you're going to call that ticky tack, that illegal formation, because and then don't, and then let them play for the pass interference, that's ridiculous. Let them play either way then.
That's not letting them play. The guy, he was molesting him before the ball was even there.
Yeah.
He's got both hands wrapped around him and the ball's still 3-4 yards out.
Right.
And so you guy can't even get his hands up.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. It's like if you're going to call the illegal formation, you better call the pass interference.
It was amazing because I was watching the play and I saw him check with the ref, and I'm like, what happened? Like, I don't understand it. So
yeah, I mean, and it's obvious. Obviously, it's like his job to make sure he's lined up correctly. It's not the ref's job, and he wasn't on the line, so the ref called the penalty. But yeah, you shouldn't like if they check with you, just don't answer or something. Be like, I don't know, man. You tell me.
Right.
Because yeah, but also you shouldn't be relying on the ref there, especially at that position of the game. Like you got to know you're up on the line.
Right. But if you're the ref, like you said, don't just say you're good and then throw a flag on them.
Right.
Because that's BS. And there was like an article about a slippery slope of gambling with that one. Right. Because that one play changed the direction of the game. And then the article was talking about how they looked at, like, because of the NBA fixing games with Donahue. They said that it couldn't happen in the NFL because there's too many things. But in this instance right there, he calling that flag could have cost them the game. And so he does have the power to do that.
Right. Yeah. And it changes a lot about the outcome, not only the winner, obviously, but how close the score might have been. Right. I mean, there's all kinds of things. Because maybe Washington gets it and misses the 2-point conversion and loses by 2, and I mean all kinds of things could have happened there that he definitely affects it, and you hate to see referees controlling the outcome of the game in a negative way anyway. They're impacting the game instead of making the right calls or doing the right things, and that's terrible to see in that important of a game.
Right. And then let's also make sure that everyone knows the Commanders didn't deserve to win that game anyway. They were sucking the whole game. So
right. Yeah.
They can't make an excuse. It sucked, but you still had to get a 2-point conversion, and you still hadn't played well at all the whole entire game. So
yeah. But that's what football's about, though. Coming back at the end and giving yourself a chance, right? Staying in the game.
Here's the big one, and this was a crazy stat. The Commanders have played 2 games in the last 3 weeks, both of them against the Giants. And they
Right.
have tied and lost. They've had 3 weeks of preparation for the Giants, and they can't beat them.
Yeah.
That's the reason. It's like you can't prepare for it because the Giants had to play a game in between.
Well, and that's the thing is like if you've tied and lost, like the Giants deserve to go to the playoffs instead of you.
Yeah. So here comes the Lions.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Lions going to the playoffs gonna be crazy. All right, so let's jump into week 16. Overall, I gained a few spots back. So back to about a 4-game lead, I think, in the overall now, maybe 5 games. I'll have to check that after we're done.
Not
But
after
not
today.
not starting off well, right? So we picked our Thursday matchup because we're doing this on Thursday instead of Wednesday. And Derek goes with Jacksonville, and Wes and I go with the Jets, and so we're already down 1, Wes. That game didn't really go. I mean, I guess it did. Just Zach Wilson is just not good. And I figured though their defense, they'd run the ball well, and their defense would play well, and neither of those really happened.
What surprised me about Zach Wilson is you see ability, I guess, but it's the fact that the coaches you understand he's struggling and he's a young quarterback and he has difficulties with progressions. Set it up, make it simple for him, and they didn't even do that tonight.
Right.
He's like running around, he's throwing the ball like in bad spots, and it's just like that's part of its coaching too. You need to set up the offense where you got to give him some outs.
Right.
But he looked bad.
No, I think you're right. Though the offense was not well planned. It wasn't a good game plan. It didn't look fluid at all.
I know their offensive line is hurting, but at the same point, again, set it up, give them some outs.
Yeah, and Jacksonville they played well. Etienne ran the ball well. Ingram had a big week. 100 yards. And Lawrence, just didn't make a lot of mistakes. So Jacksonville really deserved to win that game. But yeah, so Derek goes up 0-1 already. 1-0. Buffalo at Chicago will now be our first game to pick here. So Derek, why don't you lead us off?
I feel bad every week because I want to pick the Bears. But then I'm like, oh, well, they're playing this team.
Yeah.
There's no chance. The Bears have had for a team that didn't make the playoffs last year, they have a really hard schedule.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, I got the Bills by 10 here covering.
Yeah.
Chicago's ready. They're going to play tough, but they're ready for the number 2 pick and start over next year, and they'll have their future quarterback and draft picks and money and rebuild fast, but not this year.
No. And they do it. They're going to have a ton of cap room, and yeah, you don't want to get Fields hurt here at the end of the season. You want to keep him healthy.
They need the number 2 pick because that's the most important pick, because somebody's going to trade a ton of stuff to get that number 2 pick to get Stroud or Young.
Right. Yeah. And if they, and I would trade back if I was them for sure and try to get, a couple extra picks and go after their needs, because obviously they're not going to draft Stroud or
Bryce
Alabama
Young.
guy, Bryce Young. Yeah. So yeah, they got to lose. Like I said, almost sometimes looks like they're trying to. Wes, what do you got?
Well, I don't know if it's just me, but is the Bears like the best 3-11 team in history? I mean, talk about the most fun team to watch at 3-11. They got to be. I mean, they should get a. I mean, they're fun to watch just because of Justin Fields. But it's kind of ridiculous in this game where you have two teams where the leading rushers are their quarterbacks. Isn't that funny? Josh Allen's leading
Yeah,
700 yards, and Fields has exactly 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns.
jeez,
And
so crazy.
what's even more striking is the Bears receiving. Their leader is Mooney with 493 yards. I think you guys kind of know what you need to do in the off season.
Well, and then Mooney hasn't played in a few weeks, right?
Yeah, he's on IR.
Yeah, so need some weapons. Yeah, I just this is not. I think the Bills are going to come in and they'll probably beat the Bears by about 14, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm going to take Buffalo here because I don't think Chicago wants to win, first of all, but they're overmatched. Buffalo's got too much offense for them. Chicago's defense isn't particularly great. Um, but when you look at Chicago, they've played a lot of tough teams, a lot of playoff teams, and they've played them close. They have a very tough schedule, and I think they are. I don't think anybody wants to play them at 3-11. Look what Philadelphia barely got out a 5-point win last week. So Buffalo won't take the game lightly, I don't think at all, and get come out win by 10 probably.
I think the game time forecast is 8 degrees.
Jeez,
correct. 8. It's like this is like the ice bowl. Like they're gonna have like 7 ice bowl games.
Well, and it's in Chicago, so it's going to be windy. So it's going to be like -10.
Yeah.
Wind chill.
Luckily, it's Buffalo who's used to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Buffalo's like, hey, we got the same weather.
Or they might go play in Detroit. Like, yeah, right. Sorry, it's too cold.
Yeah, now it's too cold and windy. It's not just snow anymore. They're like it's too cold and windy. Let's go play in a dome.
Well, yeah, because of the wind chill. With the wind chill, they said it was going to be -11.
Yeah, it's crazy. Let's see. New Orleans at Cleveland, Wes.
Well, you got a 5-9 team versus a 6-8 team. Cleveland. I mean, mathematically they're not out of it, but they're just playing at home. I'm gonna take the Browns. Just think that they're gonna play it safe, run the ball with Chubb. I think Olave's hurt. I don't think he's playing this game. I'm wrong about that. And game time temperature 10 degrees.
Yeah,
Cleveland. So I think there's gonna be a lot of running. I think it's a heavy dose of Chubb, and I would not want to be the New Orleans defense tackling him in that type of weather. So
no,
I think it's gonna be kind of ugly.
-9 with wind chill.
Jeez. I kind of thought the same thing. New Orleans going into Cleveland. I think either on any given day, either of these teams could win this game. But it being in Cleveland with the cold weather, the advantage I think goes to the running team, which is Cleveland there. So I got Cleveland also by a touchdown.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement here. But it's kind of funny. Deshaun Watson's probably like, what is this weather? I go from South Carolina and
Houston for this
to a dome in Houston to this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a Chubb game. Chubb and Hunt. So
yeah,
I got the Browns by 7. It's not going to be pretty.
No, it's going to be pretty ugly is what it's going to be. Houston at Tennessee. It's in Tennessee. I think Tennessee has to win this game. I mean, even without, Tannehill playing, Houston's just they look good sometimes, I guess, it's weird. But they obviously are the worst team in the league, so it's hard to take them at Tennessee. Even though I don't think Tennessee looks very good right now. They look like they're on a decline. And so I still think they should win this game, though. I got them by 6 at home.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about. This is the Derrick Henry game. He likes to feast on the Texans. Here is his stats for his last 4 games against the Texans. 211 yards, 212 yards, 250 yards, 219 yards.
Jeez. Yeah, you're not joking, dude. So he goes for 200 every time he plays the Texans.
The last 4 games, yes.
Wow.
So
I need him to do it this week.
yeah, you need So this is the perfect time for Malik Willis. Now at least I'd like to see more option, more using his legs because he can't throw the ball. So, but yeah, I'm taking the Titans just because Derrick Henry loves the Texans. So I got the Titans by 7.
What do you think, Wes?
Yeah, it's 3-point spread, which I think, I thought it's kind of low, but
Yeah.
But again, that's it's going to be a balmy 18 degrees in Nashville for this game. So it's a heavy dose of Derrick Henry, and lots of fun for Houston's defense tackling him in that weather. So I'm taking the Titans by 10.
Let's see. Seattle at Kansas City, Derek.
Oh, where I got my Kansas City, Seattle. So Chiefs are favored by 10. It's a home for the Chiefs. I'm gonna check the weather on this one. It's got to be cold.
It's got to be cold, right?
It's
These are all going to be cold.
11 degrees. Game time.
Jeez. And then what's the wind chill?
Oh, it's got to be bad there. It's always windy.
Yeah, Kansas City.
-6. So not as bad as the Bills Bears, but
yeah.
Seattle's used to rainy weather. They're not used to super cold weather. So yeah, I think the Seahawks they're going to start fading away. And I got the Chiefs by 14.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Wes, you agree?
Yeah, I think the Chiefs win this game. It's Kenneth Walker. He's just not really that healthy. Can't really run the ball very well right now. And I think the Chiefs go out there and probably beat the Seahawks by 13.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting because I think maybe Kansas City will be fine throwing the ball. A lot of what they throw the ball is to Kelsey anyway, right? So it's not as bad as maybe if you're an aired out team in this kind of weather. But I don't think Seattle. I think Seattle really lives and dies by throwing the ball. I think Walker's been good, but the meat of their offense is those short passes from Geno Smith to Lockett and to Metcalf. So I don't know that they can do that in a cold weather environment. I don't think they could beat Kansas City anyway in regular weather. So I still think Kansas City wins this game by 10. So all in agreement there. Let's see, New York. Oh, the Giants at Minnesota. This was an interesting game. Curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this. So let's see, Wes, what do you got?
Well, Minnesota is, coming off that it's a 33-point comeback. So I think they're riding some momentum. Coming into this game, they're playing at home. They're playing the Giants. The Giants they're just not playing great offensive football. I just don't think they're going to be able to keep up with Minnesota. I'm going to say Minnesota wins by 10.
It's got to be cold up in Minnesota, right?
Well,
they're probably going to be at like 2. Oh, yeah. I guess they're in the dome. So
it's 2 degrees, but they play indoor.
Yeah, they're indoor, so they're all right.
70 degrees.
70 degrees. God, it's going to be 2 degrees in Minnesota. That's nuts. Glad you don't live in Minnesota, huh?
But back in the day, they used to play outdoors.
Right.
And they've gone to 4 Super Bowls, and it was all when they were playing outdoors. They have not been to a Super Bowl since they've been in the dome. So what do you think? Take the game outside for the playoffs.
Take it outside, yep. Yeah, this was tough because I think the Giants really got to win this game, and so I think they're going to come out play hard. And Minnesota's just so erratic. They have a good offense most of the time, and their defense just doesn't help them out much. Saquon's back healthy. I think that was hurting New York, their offense, for a couple of weeks there. But Saquon looked really good last week. It looks like he's, gaining steam back after his injury. So I think it'll be a good back and forth game. I just think Minnesota will probably get it in the end and win by a touchdown. What do you
Yeah,
got
this
there?
is this is a game where I saw a stat where they did a thing where if you took all the losses by like 3 or less and then you flipped them, like, so in the games this year, if you were in close games like that and flipped them around, because sometimes those games are like a coin flip.
Right.
Minnesota be 1-13.
Oh, jeez.
So, but I really appreciate what the Giants are doing. They're overachieving big time. And the Vikings are at home. Their offense is a lot better equipped to handle the Giants. I mean, Thibodeau has been playing well though lately, but with Jefferson and Thielen and Cook, Hawkinson, I think they're going to win by probably 10. But I still think Dayball should be coach of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's a great case for that, especially if they end up in the playoffs. But if Detroit ends up in the playoffs, I think there's a
Yeah,
big
that's true.
argument for Campbell too.
Yeah.
And also, Philly's had a great year. If they continue their run, I mean, there's a couple scenarios, but I think he definitely has to be in the conversation for sure. So let's see. So we're all in Minnesota on that one. So no swing there. Let's see. Cincinnati at New England. Um, I think Cincinnati, even though they're on the road here, it's probably gonna be cold in New England too. But Cincinnati's not. It's not like they're not used to that. They're from a fairly cold place in the Midwest. So
A balmy 19 degrees.
19. God, everybody's gonna be
That's
cold.
like a high.
Yeah,
That's the highest
for this week's
that's
game.
the highest so far of all the games, pretty much.
All right. I think it feels like Cincinnati is gotten back to their game. They're gaining confidence, and Joe Burrow, when he gets confidence going, is as good as anybody. He's really a confidence-based quarterback when he plays at a real high level when he is. So um, overall, I just think Cincinnati's a better team, even though it's in New England. I think they're going to come out and probably win this game by 11 or so.
Yeah, obviously now we know it was the appendicitis for Burrow, right? That's why they
Right.
started off slow.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
it's a good argument.
ever since they're the hottest team in the NFL. Pats are coming off one of the most embarrassing losses of all time. Pretty much, I think looking at their schedule, took them out of the playoffs. I mean, they're
Right.
still technically in it, but they've got a huge road to go through. Bengals are playing high. They got the Ravens losing Lamar Jackson, so they're like, we're going to get the division. Belichick can't stop all the weapons that the Bengals have, so I got the Bengals by 10.
But you, Wes, you going New England?
Well, the real question is Mac Jones even going to show up for the game?
Right.
I mean,
He's still on the turf.
Belichick's probably still got him in timeout. Like, no, you're in timeout.
Yeah.
You're in timeout. You're done. But we need Zappy. Where's Zappy at?
Man, I wish they never would have taken him out, to be honest with you.
I mean, you know what? Zappy comes in the game. I might give New England a chance, puncher's chance. But I mean, Joe Burrow's on fire right now. He's 31 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Patriots run the ball decent. Stevenson's having a great year, but they just don't have the weapons to match up with Bengals. I said Bengals by 8.
Yeah, Mac Jones, man, not only is it like embarrassing to have that happen to you, but just in general, he's to me, he's always seemed like kind of a crybaby almost, to where he complains a lot, or things don't go right. It's always someone else's fault, and I don't know. I would really have loved to see them just stay with Zappy when he was doing so well. Like there was no reason to go away from him. It's
I,
just
I,
weird.
I think I think part of it is they want to for sure. If he's not the guy, we're gonna find out he's not the guy. And it's pretty much to me, I don't see how you cannot see that he
Yeah.
is not the guy. They're gonna need to get another quarterback. But you know,
It's really infuriating being a Raiders fan to see how great of a job Josh McDaniels did as an offensive coordinator last year, making people think, oh, Mac Jones is the best quarterback in this draft class, right?
Right.
oh yeah.
People were saying that.
Oh,
Yeah.
what were the 49ers thinking? Remember that? Like the
Yeah.
49ers, the
What
49ers
were the
were,
Jaguars thinking? People were saying that. You're like,
Mhm.
he should have gone number one.
Right.
talk about Mr. Irrelevant. It's freaking Mac Jones. Jeez. Like, it's just, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like Dak Prescott. It's like the media roots for Mac Jones, whether they feel sorry for him. Well, he's following, he's basically following in the footsteps of the GOAT.
Right.
Oh, poor him. There must be a lot of pressure on him. It's called the NFL. You get paid a lot of money to deal with that type of pressure. If you can't handle it, uh, go play for the Rams, I guess. No, they won the Super Bowl, but I mean,
Yeah.
go play in the XFL. It's that's what it is. You're the quarterback, just like Zach Wilson. Sorry, you get paid a lot of money to be good. Did you hear that? Did you hear them boo him
Oh
when he threw
yeah.
that interception? That was brutal.
Yeah.
And those
Well,
shirts.
you see when they started cheering when
Yeah.
they brought the backup in too, like that was like the loudest the crowd has been all night.
Yeah.
They bring the backup, they just go
And
crazy. He
and
has to
who was
quiet the
that guy?
crowd.
Did they just get that guy out of the crowd? Like, hey, you know what? You want to play some football? Come out. I'll shoot you up here.
Oh man, that was great. Let's see. So Detroit at Carolina. Who's Derek? It's you?
Yeah. Where's my Lions pen? Gotta go with my Lions. Lions are a 3-point favorite. They're besides the Bengals, the hottest team in the NFL right now. Panthers kind of shot the bed against the Steelers. I think the Lions have the top 2 rated pass rushing rookies, and James Houston and Hutchinson, and they're coming together. Jameson Williams is back. He didn't do much last week, but that's a huge threat to have, though.
Yeah.
And I just don't think the Panthers, even though their division is horrible, I don't think they know they don't have a chance to make the playoffs. So I got the Lions by 10.
Yeah, what do you got, Wes?
Yeah, I got the Lions here. It's just too many weapons. Yeah, Jameson Wilson, he's gonna open things up even more for St. Brown in the running game. I think Detroit, I think Carolina plays hard, but I think Detroit can beat you so many different ways. I think they're just dangerous. And they like to be physical too. They like to run the football. I think that you see them run, just kind of run right at Panthers, wear them down. I don't see this game being close. They just don't have the firepower to keep up with the Lions. Say they win by 21.
Wow. Gonna go and just blow them out, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely agree that Detroit's going to win the game for sure. Just because Carolina, they're hit and miss. even when they're hit, though, they're not that great, So I don't think if Carolina plays really well, I think they would still slightly lose the game. Where if they just play average, I think they lose the game, by I got them losing by 9. But it definitely could go be more if it gets out of control. But I still think Detroit goes in there into Carolina, handles them. All in agreement there. Let's see. Atlanta at Baltimore. It's US.
I mean, Baltimore. I mean, either team's playing very well. Baltimore is just reeling. But they are playing at home. Game time temperature, the warmest of the games yet, 20 degrees.
Nice.
So I'm taking Baltimore by default because I just don't think that the Falcons are, trying to break in Ritter, and it's just Baltimore needs this game. They're going to have any chance of, kind of getting the division from the Bengals. They have to win this game. I think they win it by a field goal.
Yeah, because that's all they're going to kick, right?
Yeah, there's gonna be
There's gonna be like 9
goals.
field goals.
Yeah.
It's hard to pick Atlanta, but Baltimore is not playing well at all. But it is in Baltimore, right? They're at home, even though Baltimore tends to not play great at home. They do have enough to win this game, I think. Their defense is good enough. They have a decent running game. So I think Baltimore does have enough to win this game. I think they'll, take it by 5. So I got Baltimore too.
Yeah, when coming up and looking at the schedule, I'm like, oh, okay, Ravens are a loss. Oh, nope, they're playing the Falcons. Yeah, the spread is 7.5. That's kind of ridiculous, I think. They
Yeah.
don't look good. Huntley isn't doing what was doing last year. But Dobbins had over 100 yards rushing last week. I think he's coming back. So it's a heavy dose of Dobbins and Andrews probably, and that's it. And it's going to be like 9-6.
Well, no, let's play daily wager. Over unders 34.5.
Oh, that's got to be under.
I'm
taking under. Totally under.
That's got to be under.
I mean, 34.5. That means, yeah.
I think 9 to 6 is 9 to 6 might be a pretty good call.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all in agreement there. Baltimore is going to win, but an ugly game because both these teams aren't looking too good right now. Let's see. Washington at San Francisco. I think this is a big game for both teams. Like if Washington wants to have any sort of chance, they obviously have to win, even though they're really killed their chances a little bit last week. San Francisco, obviously, best defense in the league. They look like it too, and it's at home. The Commanders don't look particularly great on offense. They look better, than they were at the beginning of the season. So they have come together a little bit, but San Francisco's just got too much for them. I don't think they blow them out though. I think Washington keeps it close, and I think San Francisco wins by a touchdown.
Yeah, I'm in agreement here. Although Chase Young is making his debut for the season, so that would be kind of big. But it's not going to help their offense, which is what they need help on. And the Niners, they still got McCaffrey, and Kittle's having an amazing year this year too. So I don't think the Commanders can score much. They didn't really do much against the Giants scoring wise. So I got the 49ers by 7 also.
What do you think, Wes?
I got the 49ers here. They're playing at home. Their defense only allowing 15 points a game. Number 1 in the league. I think Washington does play them tough, but I just think, I can say 23-17, the 49ers are. I think Purdy doesn't have his best game because they, Commanders play good defense, and everyone thinks that Purdy's, I mean, what? Wait, is he Steve Young or Joe Montana, or is
I
he
mean,
both?
according to the media, he's better than both of them.
Yeah,
He's Tom Brady 2.0, right?
Yeah, I mean, just crazy talk.
yeah. It's just we all root for the guy, I guess, even though I'm not a 49ers fan so much, but I don't even know. It's just I just don't think I think it comes down to earth a little here, but that defense is just legit, and
Yeah.
so and Taylor Heineke lacks confidence, and I just he's they're gonna probably rattle him, so I just take 49ers there.
Yeah, it's Washington's defense, and especially their defensive line, is real good. Now Chase Young coming back makes it even better. Purdy's going to get his first test, I think. I think you're right there. So let's see, Philadelphia at Dallas. Derek, what do you got?
This was a toss-up for me because I was like, oh, well, Hurts is out. Okay, well, got to go Cowboys. But then I'm like, wait a minute. It's time for Minshew Mania, man.
I know Minshew's the
Dude,
man,
Gardner
dude.
Minshew. The Eagles have probably the most talented roster in the NFL. And they have a history of a backup quarterback coming in for a quarterback that's playing at an MVP level and taking him to the Super Bowl, right?
Right.
Gardner Minshew is better than Nick Foles. And I think the Eagles are going to go into Dallas. Dallas is going to take them lightly because they're like, oh, Hurts isn't playing. We didn't. And I got the Eagles winning by 7 in Dallas.
In Dallas. Tough one. Wes, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm going with Gardner Flint Minshew the second. That's his name. It's actually the second.
That's a great name.
Yeah, how can you not like that's yeah, I'm gonna go with the Eagles too, just because the Cowboys I think they're the yeah, I've seen so many Dak Prescott interviews this week. I just, it's like I would get sick of myself if I was Dak Prescott. I was like, stop. I don't want to, I'm sick of me. He gets up there and he just says, I'm not playing my best. It's like, no, you're not. You're throwing a lot of interceptions. And Jerry Jones said he played outstanding last week.
Yeah, right, dude.
He played outstanding. That's outstanding. Roger Staubach, Troy Aikman, you're freaking Tony Romo. I mean, come on.
Danny
I just
White.
think again, Danny White, Plur or whatever, yeah, Steve Plur. I think it's gonna be a good game. I just think the Cowboys are gonna find a way to lose. I think Gardner Minshew, if you look at his stats, his career stats are not bad. I mean, he's a good backup, so I think he's play good. I think Eagles are gonna win by 4 points.
Yeah, they did a comparison of Minshew stats and Trevor Lawrence's stats, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
Like Minshew had pretty good stats over in Jacksonville. I think he's a very formidable backup, and Philly's definitely talented here. And I had Philly, and then I had Dallas, and I had Philly, and I ultimately I'm landing on Dallas. So we do have a swing game here. It's at home. I think Dallas really needs or wants to win this game. I don't know if it's not a need. I think it's a want to win. They got embarrassed last week. I think they're going to come out and play real hard, and their defense looks pretty solid. So I think this is a big test. They need to see like where they stand. They actually have to. This is their measuring stick,
The only thing
and
I'll say about
it's
their
going to be an
defense,
important game.
they struggled last week against Jacksonville. I mean, Jacksonville put up 40 points on them.
All right.
And so I think they're going to have to readjust what they're doing, because I know Jacksonville's playing good, but they put up 40 on them, and so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a high scoring game, close game. And I just think I'm just going to take Dallas here by a field goal. So Cowboys better not let me down. Let's see, Vegas at Pittsburgh. It's the US.
Oh, my favorite. Here we go. Well, I guess it's 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception.
Oh, and
So,
Franco passed too.
yeah.
Terrible.
So, the Steelers are playing good. They're quietly in playoff contention, like by their fingernails, just kind of like the Raiders are. So you had two teams here that technically probably can't make the playoffs, but technically
they're not eliminated.
Shot, right? They still got a pulse, I guess. So I can't. I mean, I know the Raiders won last time they went to Pittsburgh, but I remember all the years that, I mean, horrific memories of them going to Pittsburgh. So I'm going to try to erase all those horrific memories of them losing and just remember last year them winning, and I'm going to take the Raiders. Because if I'm going to compare the Raiders' weapons to the Steelers' weapons, Pickett's not gonna. He's not up on my list when it comes to the way that Devontae Adams is balling, and Josh Jacobs is still playing well, even though I think he's dinged up. But still, he's a tough guy. He's gonna play. And I didn't even look up the weather though. I think that's
Oh, it's got to be cold up in Pittsburgh.
Cold.
It's gonna be cold.
It's cold and windy.
It's a night game, and I see a snow flurry at 11 degrees.
Jeez.
Maybe a snow game.
I think that helps Josh Jacobs, but also, you got Najee Harris, who's kind of a beast too. And the Raiders, I got the Raiders here as well. But I think Pittsburgh could win this game. So it wasn't an easy pick. I still believe that the Raiders are good, even though they just do some horrible things and they play so bad sometimes, and their coach sucks, and Pittsburgh's playing better. They're on a mini roll.
Pittsburgh's got a good defense. Their defense is starting to really come around, and that their defense can be kind of scary, like 49er in a sense. So Derek Carr's got to be careful. For once, he needs to be careful.
Yeah, I just think they got to rely on Josh Jacobs here, and if they get Jacobs enough touches, I think they can win this game. And so I'd take the Raiders by 6 here.
Got some interesting tidbits on this game. First, I agree with you that it will probably be a Jacobs game, but the Steelers have one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. Besides their rushers of Highsmith and Watt, and then Minka Fitzpatrick, they don't have much in coverage-wise. So, depending on how the wind is, Devontae Adams could have a huge game, especially with Waller and Renfro back. You can't really double or triple team them. Also, Mike Tomlin, 1-4 against the Raiders. Career.
Brutal.
Just not last year, Wes. He's 1-4 against the Raiders.
You know what? I'm thinking about this. I've watched too many 70s games.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking current. They're just sketched in my brain.
Well, and 80s and 90s.
And then I was leaning towards Steelers because of when the great Franco Harris died, because that's a huge emotional thing for the Steelers. But then this is a huge emotional game for the Raiders. How many Raider greats do you think have been like, we're going into their place, they're going to be showing this embarrassing footage of how we got screwed out of another chance for a Super Bowl. And it's going to put a chip on the Raiders' shoulder, because they're going in there, the pomp and circumstance of 50 years of we beat you on an illegal play. The first duck rule, pretty much, right?
That's funny.
They,
Yeah.
you go into Pittsburgh Airport. I've been there a few times. There's a statue of Franco Harris in the airport. So when all the players come in from the airport, they're going to see Franco Harris here doing this. So, yeah, I got the Raiders by 3, but who knows with Josh McDaniels? They'll probably go up by 30, and then he'll just kneel or do something stupid.
And it'll be a tie. They'll end up tying.
They'll just do wedge. He'll do wedge the entire second.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a tough game to pick. But like I said, I gotta believe that the Raiders overall are a better team than Pittsburgh. But they just have had horrible coaching this year.
And then too, the other big fact is your friend Kenny Pickett is back.
Right.
4 touchdowns to 8 interceptions.
Oh my gosh. Pickett, man. Jeez. This poor guy. Okay, let's see what we got here. We got Green Bay at Miami. I mean, in Miami needs to win. Green Bay just doesn't look very good to me. Obviously, their receivers still can't run routes or catch the ball. So in Green Bay, apparently. So I think Miami has too much offense for them, and they're going to win this game by 10. It should be fun to watch.
Yeah. This is an interesting game because the Packers are actually still have a chance at a playoff spot. They're saying there's a chance.
They're saying there's a chance.
And the Dolphins, their schedule in the last few weeks is going to be tough. And in the past few years, they have had a late season swoon where they lose.
Right.
But I still have the Dolphins winning this game because I just don't think the Packers are that good, like you said. It's at home. The Dolphins are like, oh, thankfully we get some warmness here. Yeah. Tyreek Hill's gonna have a big game. I say the Dolphins by 10.
Yep. Wes, what do you got?
I mean, you know why the Dolphins have a late season swoon all the time is because they're Dolphins. They like the sun. They like the heat. It's like it's cold. It's gonna be 55 degrees game time in Miami, but that's not very warm for the Dolphins here. They like the sun. But they are playing the Packers, and the Packers, yes, are technically alive, but not really. And Aaron just looks unhappy. I mean, he just looks depressed. Like post game, he's just like, we just suck, but we have a chance. It's that's the way he acts, and they do. But I think Dolphins are going to do enough to beat the Packers. I hope so. It's Christmas Day games, Christmas Day morning.
That's right.
Wake up, open some presents, and watch
football.
Dolphins football.
They're all on TV too, right?
They're all. They got to be all on TV. There's only 3 games. They're all.
Fox, CBS, and NBC.
Sadly, one of the games is the Broncos, which I think I'll just take a nap for that one. You just.
Well, let's get to the Broncos at the Chargers. Derek.
Stupid Broncos. It's Broncos Rams.
Oh yeah, Rams. I'm sorry. I was looking at the Monday night.
Flex that game. You can't flex those games out.
Yeah. Broncos at the Rams. Well, they thought this would be a good game, beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I'm thinking here. Is it Russell Wilson or Brett Rippon?
Does it matter?
Well,
this is such a tough one because they're both such garbage teams right now. I still haven't picked this one. I'm going to go Rams because they're at home. Yeah, they're both offenses aren't doing very well. The Broncos defense is kind of taken some hits lately. They won last week, but yeah, this is This is just going to be a bad game to watch. I recommend everyone just spending time with their family on Christmas instead of watching this game.
Yeah, that's dinner time coming up into dinner time anyway, because we're gonna eat early. So I'll just be missing that one. No problem.
Yeah. Save it for the Nuggets play a couple hours after that, NBA. You can save your Denver time for that game. You got Russell. I think Rippon's got to be starting because I just don't think they want Wilson play anymore for the rest of the year. Got Rippon. I think he's like third from the last in just being a quarterback in the NFL stat wise. He's like third to last. He's like at the bottom. Like it's so I guess you can only go up from there. But I think you got a quarterback duel between Rippon and Baker Mayfield. And I'm gonna give the edge to Baker because he has more NFL experience, even though it's a lot of it's bad experience, especially after last week. I thought he might have turned a corner. Actually, he turned down an alleyway last week because he just looked like Baker, like just no confidence. I don't know what I'm doing, even though I'm a number one pick somehow. Like that's the number one pick. And Zach Wilson's number two.
Number two.
Who's evaluating these guys?
Yeah.
Like, what is this like? Is this fortune cookie football here? Like, dude, it sounds good to me. Or the eight ball, like, oh yeah, sounds good.
But they've been doing that for years with a Pickens. Remember what Achilles Smith
was? Jamarcus Russell.
Tim Couch. Mitch Trubisky.
I got Baker because I just think by default they're playing at home, and I think they'll score enough. They'll score more points than the Broncos because the Broncos are the Broncos.
You can't score. This is gonna be a swing game because I'm landing on Denver here for their defense. I think both these teams are trash, but Denver's defense is better. And the Rams did not look good against Green Bay last week. And you got to think they didn't look good against, the Raiders, but somehow they won that game. They didn't deserve to win it. So I just think the Rams aren't very good. And it's hard to pick them in any game. So I'm going to go with Denver here in a close, ugly battle of field goals.
Brett Rippon is 46 in the NFL in passing yards. There we go.
Let's see what we got. We got Tampa at Arizona, Wes.
I got Tampa here just because Arizona is just in flux. Their season's over. Tampa's playing for the division. I say they take the division because why not? Every team in that division's not very good.
So bad.
And just looking at Brady, is it me or has he lost like 50 pounds? Like he just looks.
He's on that divorce diet.
It's like Giselle sucked the life out of him and all his money. Like, here, let me just take your wife. Like, he just looks like he had a blood transfusion. He doesn't look very. He looks, But I think they're playing Arizona, and they should win. Win by 8 points.
Yeah, I agree. Arizona doesn't have a whole lot to play for. They have a terrible team morale. Tampa, at least for the first half of last week's game, looked like Tampa again for a minute. For 2 quarters. And if they play like that, they should easily win this game. But they won't play like that. They'll just play better than Arizona. So I got Tampa by a touchdown here.
The NFL has given us a Christmas present. It's called Spend Time with Your Families because all our Christmas Day games are garbage.
Right.
I was like, these are our games
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The Cardinals are starting Trace McSorley. That's all I gotta say.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the Bucks win by default. They're gonna make the playoffs by default. It's kind of
Yeah.
ridiculous. And then, in the footnotes, it'll be like, Brady's so awesome. He made the playoffs, blah, 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 when he was this old age.
Yeah.
But
At 7 and 10.
No. Here's what's gonna happen. I changed my mind. Brady's like, you know what? Screw this. I'm gonna lose the last 2 games, right? And I'm still gonna win the division just because you know what? I'm going to be the guy that loses that many games on purpose and still
goes for another record.
And then I get to play the Cowboys at home, and then we
beat them. And then beat them. Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah, watch them go 7 and 10 and then win the Super Bowl.
There would be lots of things destroyed in my house if that happened.
Oh, that's great. So you got Tampa as well?
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So last game here, Chargers at Indianapolis. I mean, I don't even know what Indianapolis is. Like, how do you lose a 33-point lead? How do you score 33 points when you're that awful? And then you lose it. It's like it looked like the biggest blowout was about to happen. They're up 33 at halftime.
Yeah.
Oh my
I felt like I was getting scammed the whole time. It's like, what is this? You're up by 33. It's like, what is going on here? I'm like, I'm getting. That happened. I'm like, geez.
Well, because Matt Ryan, he needed the largest ever, comeback against him because he already has the other ones. So he needed this one too. So he had the largest Super Bowl comeback against them. He had the largest conference championship comeback against him. So he needed the largest in general too. So another stat for Matt Ryan. But the Chargers can't not lose this game. They have to win this game, and Indianapolis isn't great. I think the Chargers offense is coming back around. They're healthy again, and they look real good when they're healthy. So I got Chargers here by 2 touchdowns.
This would be the ultimate Charger game because there's no reason they should lose to the Colts. No reason. Nick Foles is starting now, so they're going with Nick Foles for the Colts. Everything on paper says that the Chargers are going to win, but don't be surprised if they blow it. But yeah, I have the Chargers winning. Hopefully they make the playoffs and the ownership doesn't realize they need to fire their coach because I want him to stay.
Yeah.
So I got the Chargers winning only by 3 because they're going to try and Charger it, but then the Colts are the Colts. So
they're just too bad, huh? Not even the Chargers could blow this one.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you got, Wes?
We're gonna flip it this week. It's gonna be the Chargers are gonna go up by 30, right? And the Colts are gonna come back and they'll only lose by 27. So I got the Chargers. Not by 27. I think 17.
Yeah.
I just think, Nick Foles is interesting because he does have a Super Bowl ring and he did play well for a couple games. And they were probably the most important games of his life and the city of Philadelphia's. But I can never figure the guy out. Like,
no,
I thought you're decent. You're good, right? And then he's not good. And you're like, but you kind of think like, no, he's good. No, he's not.
He's not
like,
good.
It's like Matt Ryan, him, it's like flip a coin. Who's good? No, neither of us. Tails.
So I think we're all in agreement there, right? Only a few swing games, so a couple important ones out there. We're getting down to these last few weeks. You guys got to make your move soon here.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna pick the opposite of you next week.
Yeah, for the next 2 weeks, just go completely opposite.
I'm gonna pick the Broncos next week. That's how desperate I'm gonna get next week. I am the
No,
Commanders. I'm gonna pick the
I,
Commanders because you
I
know how
got the
much I love.
Broncos this week. Oh man. So yeah, that's our week this week. Uh Fantasy football podcast, man, didn't go well last week, but we're in the playoffs. I need a big week here. Derek, I think you were a little bit behind, but not too much.
No, I'm winning now, but I lost Hertz and Taylor.
Oh, brutal. Yeah. That Hurts is a big loss because he scored a lot of points for you.
Taylor
Um,
played for like 3 plays or so and got hurt. So if I would have not had him in and had Stevenson in, I'd be up by
yeah.
like 20 right now.
Yeah, it sucks because
Yeah, you got
I scored the second amount of points and I still, for the week and still lost my week. But luckily it's a 2 week, so it's a rolling 2 weeks. We add them both up. I need a real big game.
Oh
I
wait, yeah,
think,
I'm losing by 0.24 now.
yeah. But I think you have a good chance to advance. If I advance, it's going to take a miracle. I mean,
Well, it's
it,
like it's hard when Jared McKinnon gets him 30 points.
yeah, that's so stupid.
How does Jared McKinnon get
Uh,
got him 30 points?
yeah.
Jesus
Well, he had
Christ.
two receiving touchdowns, and
Jeez.
or maybe it was a long run, it was a good run and a catching one, but whatever, and he caught the ball like 10 times too, so he's like
Oh,
a receiver out of the backfield. But
brutal.
if Miami doesn't have a good week, like so, if his team runs off Waddle and Hill, so if Miami struggles against Green Bay, then I have a chance because my team's
You're gonna
pretty
need a
solid.
shootout. The Chiefs and the Seahawks needs to be a shootout, Steve.
Yeah, my team always scores like 120. I think my average is 130 for the year, right? But I'm always in that 120 to 130 area, 140 area. So I think my team's going to score the same amount of points it always does. What I need is his team to do bad. So we'll see how that goes. So that's the podcast update there. And then in our other league, we're both in the playoffs too, and the same thing happened. I scored like 125, and his team goes off for 150 something.
Yeah, I scored 127 and I'm losing by 6.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
you had
both.
to. You're only down by 10 though.
Yeah, I had Ingram today. He gave me almost 20 points.
Oh yeah, 18.
So that helped. That's a good start to the week in that one. I think in that league, I could come back and I could win that. We'll see what happens, but I have a pretty strong team. So that's man,
Yeah.
this is what I hate about fantasy football is like you play all week, you win, you score more points than everybody, and then you have a bad week and it's like over.
Yeah. Or you lose your quarterback right
Right.
before the playoffs. And then there's no backups available.
No. Well, I think I just released Tom Brady. You can have him.
I'm writing I think I'm writing Minshew.
Yeah. I saw that's a fine pickup, There's no because he's gonna throw the ball a lot. He's still got AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, so it's he's still gonna get his yards. He'll probably throw for 300.
Oh, and this is why I'm losing now is he had the Jets today and they got him 2 points. So that helps me.
Oh, yeah, that's good. It's a good start.
I'm riding Baltimore this week with Andrews and Dobbins and their defense. So
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I need the Seahawks to have a big game. That's why it sucks that it's so cold because Kansas City and Seattle normally that would be you'd think it'd be a shootout. So
let's give me back
nightmare.
Fields.
Yeah, Fields may not play much though. You never know. I don't know. I think I'd shut him down, but that's just me. All right.
Uh,
Well, good stuff, guys. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting Christmas Eve. Going to miss my Raider game, depending on the weather. Would be locked in here, so.
Right.
But that's the hard thing with the football games on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. You got family you got to do first, so.
Yeah, luckily the Christmas Eve stuff, there's most of the games are early.
Right.
So that helps me because we don't do anything till the nighttime. Cold week, right? This is gonna be this is like the first real like cold week everywhere.
Yeah.
And so it's I always think it changes the game so much, when it's cold like that. Because now you really got to rely on the running game. You have more turnovers, lots of things can change.
Yeah. I mean, just thinking like if you're a receiver, like when you're catching the ball, it hurts so bad.
Sucks. Especially at the NFL level because they're throwing so
Yeah.
hard. I don't like catching a real quarterback, NFL quarterback ball like when it's warm out. Like they throw it hard. Just imagine if your hands are freezing.
Right.
Oh man.
Lots of
Uh,
players going to be wearing gloves.
right. Sweet, good stuff, guys. For everybody listening, thanks for listening. Don't forget to drop a like and a subscribe on our podcast on YouTube if that's where you're seeing it. If you're just listening on there, appreciate you continue listening, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody.